Will, have you seen Dan?
Huh?
So the last time I reviewed a Lexus NX, I absolutely hated it. But this one right here has been completely overhauled. And just like that, it went from being one of the worst in its segment to becoming a compact luxury crossover that I can actually feel confident recommending to you.
For more expert car reviews, don't forget to share our channel and subscribe so you can catch some of this and maybe even a little of that.
So this 2022 Lexus NX is a completely new generation model, so it's been totally overhauled. And while you might not be able to notice from the outside, because stylistically they're not that different, there are a couple interesting design upgrades that I wanted to mention. So the first one are these headlights. It looks a lot nicer than the old one, which used to be like a double-decker design. And in general, they kind of smoothed out all of the awkward lines that the other one had. This grille is also new. It has this cool new mesh design, and I know it's a lot of grille, but that's also very common in the luxury space these days. Wanted to show you something else that was really weird. These door handles, I don't know why they had to do it this way, but instead of a traditional handle where you pull it out, there's a little button trigger inside to open it. And then inside, it also has a similar button trigger that you can use, or a double pull handle. And I don't like it because they were like reinventing the wheel for no reason at all. And I've had to explain it to every single one of my passengers, and they're all really confused by it. So I don't like it, but it's a minor issue, not a big deal. Moving around back, the other new design feature is this light bar, which now extends the whole width of the back. I think it looks really great. They also got rid of the badge and spelled out Lexus instead, which is a very trendy move. Opening the trunk, it's pretty big. The only thing I don't really love about it is that this lift over height is quite high. So I wish it was a little bit lower, which would make things easier to load and unload. So one of the things I hated the most about the previous generation NX was its infotainment system. So it had this stupid little trackpad, kind of like you would find on an old laptop, except not as easy to use. And it was so frustrating to use when parked and impossible to use while driving. And so I just couldn't confidently recommend that car because it had that infotainment system, and it was borderline dangerous. So I just hated it. Luckily for this generation, they scrapped that stupid system entirely, and what we have now is actually really, really good. So we have this massive touchscreen, and not only is it huge and very pretty looking, the Android Auto really makes great use of all of that real estate. There's a band of climate controls on the bottom, and the buttons are really big, so they're easy to use while you're driving. In general, it's just fast, the graphics are nice, everything's really responsive, and I love to use it. One thing to note, and I know Dan mentions this all the time, is that I do wish there were a couple more physical buttons for things that I use a lot. So I would really love a shortcut for like radio or audio, for example, because right now if I'm using Google Maps and I want to change the radio station, it's a couple taps too many. So I think that's the only gripe I have. Otherwise, this system is awesome. So this Lexus NX 350h is what the brand calls a self-charging hybrid, which means you don't have to plug it in or anything like that. It's powered by a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, and it has an electric generator and an electric motor. The combined output is 240 horsepower, and there's no official torque figure, which is kind of weird, but I can tell you that it's enough. So getting up to highway speeds and passing people happens with relatively no drama. It gets pretty noisy if you really have to floor it, but that's pretty normal. All the hybrid models of the NX get a CVT transmission, so that's a continuously variable automatic. And generally, it's just really smooth. I never really notice it working, which is what you want. The CVT is great because it is more efficient, and the NX has all-wheel drive, which is a brilliant solution. So in typical driving conditions, it drives the front wheels using the gas engine, and then when more traction is needed, the electric motor will send more power to the rear axle, giving you all-wheel drive without the penalty on fuel economy. It is just such a smart solution, and I love it. So in general, I don't really have any complaints about the NX's driving dynamics. I actually really enjoy it. It is small and nimble. It takes corners really well. The suspension is set up so that it is not too crashy, and it feels very luxurious and smooth, which is what you want. The steering is also really well weighted. The car is very easy to maneuver, very easy to park. Visibility is great. So in general, no complaints there. So I love that the NX comes standard with a whole bunch of really great active safety features and driver assistance features. And there's a really great feature called cross traffic alert. And so what it does is it warns you if you're turning and there's a car coming, which is fantastic. But the other day I was waiting to make a turn and I saw some cars coming and it was warning me that they were there. And then so they passed and I started to make my turn and then it was still beeping at me. And so I think the delay is a little bit annoying, but other than that, everything works exactly as it should. So as a hybrid, the NX uses EV mode quite often in situations where a lot of power isn't needed. So that means when you're idling or coasting or parking, even on the highway, it uses EV mode a lot. And it has this really great feature. At the end of each drive, it tells you how much of your drive was done in EV mode. And the other day, I was driving around for about 45 minutes. And at the end of that, it told me that 47% of my drive was done in EV mode. That is so good. So as a hybrid, I know you're all dying to hear my fuel economy. So I've been getting around 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is fantastic for a crossover of this size. And I haven't even been trying that hard to get that fuel economy. So it's definitely possible to drop that number even more if you weren't on winter tires and if you put it in eco mode, which helps a lot. So let's talk pricing. The base price for this hybrid is just around 50 grand. This one in particular has about 7,000 bucks worth of options in it. And I know it sounds like a lot, but I think all of those options are very essential to the whole experience, so you need them. So some of those features include stuff like wireless charging, this huge, awesome sunroof, 64 colors of ambient lighting, ventilated seats, all the good stuff. So that option package is really something you'd like to have. So all in, after fees and everything like that, you're gonna be spending around 59 grand on this SUV I have here, which is not bad. That's actually pretty in line with all the other competitors in this segment. And another bonus for this NX is that it's built locally in the Cambridge, Ontario facility. So that's cool for people who want to support local. To recap, I like the Lexus NX's new design, the improved infotainment system, and the efficient powertrain. I wasn't very impressed by the lack of physical buttons or how it beeps at seemingly everything. I love a good glow up, and I think it's really impressive how Lexus took this NX from ew to excellent with this redesign, so it's finally really competitive with the other vehicles in this segment. And while it might not feel as special as something like a Genesis GV70 or a BMW X3, this is a really well-rounded, compact luxury crossover that has its solid reputation for reliability on its side. Dan, I finished the review and I still don't know where you are. What the heck?